In a shocking turn of events, liberal Seattle school officials who kicked resource officers out of Seattle schools about 5 years ago and then had a massive spike in school shootings and violence, they are now reimagining and rethinking putting those same officers right back into the school system. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? This is the liberal playbook at its best. Let's get into it. Here we go. I'm going to start off with an article from Jason Rant, 770 KTTH, conservative talk radio here in Seattle, Washington. After violent crime surge, Seattle public schools embrace police. They owe you an apology. They do. They owe an apology. Liberal leadership in Seattle owes everybody an apology. And in every big city where you've just got nonsense like this happening, because this is fully avoidable. You know, you've got a bunch of schools where they've just got, they want to call it gun violence, but it's student-on-student violence is what it is. And now they want to bring back some type of authority because the teachers don't want to get involved. Yeah, I don't really want to take a bullet for the safety of the other students. Let's get those damn cops back in here. And that's literally what they're talking about. After students have been murdered, shot, assaulted, and robbed, Seattle Public Schools says it's ready to bring Seattle police back onto campus. All you had to do was leave them there because, but you didn't because you had to virtue signal that whole fentanyl Floyd thing. We're all dying because the police are killing us. That was just not true. Statistically, that just wasn't true. Wasn't even close to the truth, was it? No. But they're still dragging their feet and not taking responsibility for the violence that ensued. KIRO 7 reported that both Seattle Public Schools and the Seattle Police Department want to return school resource officers, SROs, to campuses across the district. Programs should have already started, but due to little urgency and a budget crisis, the program is behind schedule. Things are so sideways here in Washington State. I mean, everywhere you turn, there's just something just going wildly sideways. Didn't see that one coming. Yeah. Hey, let's just jack up all the minimum wages and see what happens. See how many people get fired. Timeline aside, there was an immediate surge of violence after Seattle Public Schools leaned into the Black Lives Matter movement, and Black Lives Matter being a domestic terror organization. After Seattle Public Schools leaned into the domestic terror organization Black Lives Matter movement to kick officers off campus and embraced a curriculum that demonized cops. Talk about that for a second. So we've got 500, 600, 700 cops shy of what official authorities. FBI has a count for how many police per 1,000 population. Seattle's hundreds and hundreds of police officers shy. And that reflects in the police response time. And if you've, had to call 911 and say, hey, my car is stolen, we'll get a police officer out to you when we can. And they may not come. Cops are doing the best they can, but they're operating on just overtime after overtime after overtime because they don't have enough police and they can't bring enough police in. You'll see statistics, and we just had some statistics floated out there that, hey, things are looking up. But you've also got, 300 cops, I think, that are ready to retire. And after you've demonized policing as a profession, those cops are going to retire, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them after what they went through during the whole fentanyl Floyd era, because that was some nonsense. That was absolute craziness. The district has blood on its hands, and they should apologize. During the height of the domestic terror organization Black Lives Matter movement's power, Seattle Public Schools announced it was booting officers from campus. They amplified false claims of racist cops targeting Black and Hispanic students and affirmed contrived feelings of discomfort from anti-cop students. Then Seattle Public Schools Superintendent 𝗧𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗦𝗧𝗔𝗠𝗏 announced the district would be ending the SRO program. Like all of the stuff that actually makes sense, having authority figures beyond teachers and a principal in a school, having actual authority that can handle business made sense. But you had this virtue signaling go on that led to this. Now we're rethinking police back into the school system. Who would have seen that one coming? You would have seen that one coming if you're conservative from, far, far away. In light of the current national events, the perpetuation of systemic racism, murders of Black people by police officers across our country, the violence displayed by some law enforcement here in Seattle, a resolution that will put forth by the school board to reevaluate our relations, just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo nonsense. Nonsense. Nonsense is what that is. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. It's what we're doing here in Seattle. It's what we're doing here in the state of Washington. The upside to that, you can have podcasts from me for days, weeks, months, years. But despite the clear uptick in violence that followed, Seattle Public Schools continued to keep SROs off campus. After Seattle Public Schools booted cops, students started to die. And then we move into, let's talk about that, some of that stuff here. 𝗪𝗏7 investigates, could officers return to Seattle Public Schools? I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible. Gun violence in schools has Seattle officials scrambling. Well, yeah. You need to do something. You got to do something because you got a bunch of kids that are shooting each other. They're shooting each other because there's really no repercussions, and they see it in the music that they hear it in the music. They see it in the videos. They're constantly, shoot them. You know what I mean? It's just this litany of gun violence and driving my fancy car and banging my hose. And then you wonder why they take that attitude towards school and somebody gets killed. It's not that hard to figure out, right? Gun violence has recently been taking a heavy toll on Seattle youth. On June, get this squared away here, move that just a tad. On June 6th, a 17-year-old Garfield student, Amar Murphy Payne, was killed in a shooting at Garfield High School. Garfield is where Jimi Hendrix attended. It's, right in the Central District in Seattle, just east of downtown Seattle. Another 17-year-old student was shot in the leg at a bus stop across from Garfield High School in March. January, a 15-year-old student was killed in a shooting at Teen Life Center next to Chief Sealth High School. 2023, a 19-year-old suffered gunshot wounds at Garfield's Teen Life Center parking lot. In November of 2022, a 17-year-old student was shot and killed at Ingram High School. Now, I'm not saying putting cops back in schools is going to help any of these incidents. You don't really know, kind of looking at hindsight, right? You just have no idea if this would have any impact. But it couldn't hurt. It couldn't hurt. The problem is you start putting police officers, which were how many hundreds shy of in Seattle? You put them into schools, you're taking them out of their normal policing duties, and you're putting them into a situation where now you've taken even more resources from your streets where you need them desperately right now. So we're going to get to a solution that Frisco has, Frisco, Texas, just outside of Dallas. Mayor Bruce Harrell's recent executive order addressing gun violence, that shouldn't be gun violence. It should be student-on-student violence or citizen-on-citizen violence, because that's who actually does it. The guns don't do it. So calling it gun violence, no, we're not doing that. In schools, lays out these stark facts, which don't include two other recent deaths of teenagers by gun violence in the region. 18-year-old student parking next to Kent Meridian High School, 17-year-old from Kent Meridian, a Big Five sporting goods store. Well, we're not going to put an SRO in Big Five, are we? No. But in schools, I don't think it's a bad idea. I never thought it was a good idea to take them out. But then you've also got a situation where you've only got so many police officers to go around, and communities, especially in Seattle, are really suffering because you don't have enough resources of police officers to adequately support basic public safety. And that's one of the reasons I started covering these topics, because when you have a community that has good policing, that has low crime rates, that its citizens feel safe running around at night, that you maybe don't have to lock up your door all the time. You don't have to worry about some whacked out nut job on fentanyl breaking in and assaulting your wife. When you live in that type of community, versus one that does not have those factors, it's much easier to sell the home in the good neighborhood versus the bad neighborhood. And public safety has so much to do with that. You got people running around shooting each other. Oh, yeah. Well, we read about all you got to do. You got so much information on your phone. You're out running around with your real estate agent. And they're saying, well, we had 14 murders in this community, but it's an up-and-coming neighborhood. It's a diamond in the rough. A little bit of long-term vision, and you can make this fly. Right? Some typical real estate nonsense. So let's move on. So we just looked at, these are all basically some pretty liberal. This is the Urbanist we just looked at. Now we're going to move on to KUOW, the National Propaganda Radio Network that just got defunded. No resource officers, more counselors. How Seattle hopes to improve school safety. This was August of 2024. Let's get some more counselors in there. How's that working out? Hey, I know. This is going to come across as genius. Let's get some more social workers in there. What do you say? Some just about ready to retire, overweight, blue-haired social workers. Let's get them in there. Because, we don't want those bad policemen. No, policemen bad, right? Remember, demonize them? No resource officers, more counselors. Are they going to take a bullet? I don't think so. This is just ridiculous. This is just nonsense. How Seattle hopes to improve school safety. Good luck with that. Seattle Public Schools students may notice more security staff and mental health supports, but not the return of school resource officers. This is a year ago when they returned to classrooms in September. All right. And so within that year, what changed? Well, a bunch of kids went to town on each other. Weird. There's no real authority in their school system and they shoot each other. Interesting. Yeah, there seems to be a cause and effect there, doesn't there? Of course there does. This is ridiculousness. Let's look at another one. Should cops return to Seattle high schools? ? Do you even have to ask? If you're writing the article, do you even have to ask? No, you don't. Interim Chief Rawr signals that she wants to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. Let's reimagine. Let's rethink. Let's do anything but action. Let's not do action. Good things take time, right? Years and years and years and years, except when you want to demonize policing and just pull them out of the schools. That's what you did. Now you're paying for it. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming. Wow. Just didn't see that one coming. It won't be one thing that solves safety issues at Seattle Public Schools, according to Interim Chief Police Sue Rawr. In the wake of a fatal shooting at Garfield High School last week, school district and the city will have to consider a range of ideas. I have concerns. I need to reimagine. I need to rethink. And then I need to consider a plan of action, including placing police officers back inside the city's schools. This is such Democrat liberal leadership playbook. From a mile away, you want to pull cops out of schools and you've already got some issues? That should work out well. Now let's just sit back and eat our popcorn. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Now they're considering it. Now they're talking about it. All right. It's going to happen, folks. It's going to happen. Right? You have another couple of killings, another couple of murders, student on student murder, and they'll Johnny on the spot be right there. We are committed to public safety. We are committed to safety within our schools. This is reprehensible. Gun violence is reprehensible. Can you see that one coming? I hope that we can have a conversation with Seattle Public Schools to think about. Can we now look at partnering with the public and the schools? Got to have a conversation. Man, I wouldn't make it day one in politics. Be like, what the F are you doing? Do this, and do it right now. And let's get going. Let's no more talky. Just go. Right? Because that's how you do it in business. That doesn't work out, right? It's kind of like Trump putting a bunch of tariffs out there. Boom. Drop the hammer. Wow. We wanted to talk about it. We wanted to reimagine, rethink, because we have concerns. Now we need to have a conversation. Then let's do tariffs. Nah, Not how you do it in business. You just make it happen. So I hope that we can have a conversation. All right. Raw added at the shooting at Garfield's High School should be a wake-up call for adults. We need to get our act together because we have not been successful at keeping students safe. So terrible. So terrible. I understand that there are very raw feelings about the police, but we're not going to solve those raw feelings by staying apart, she said. Interesting. They're talking about a federal pardon of 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪. He's the police officer that took the fall for Fentanyl Floyd. And Minnesota is saying if there is a federal pardon, they will immediately reincarcerate him. Or they won't even let him out. They're just because he's serving a state and a federal sentence concurrently. So there might be a pardon for him, but it's not going to do anything. We have to heal those wounds and we have to get together. The adults in the room have a responsibility to these kids. And frankly, I think until we do everything we can build that relationship, we're going to continue to fail our kids. Going back to Jason Rantz's article, they owe you an apology. Let's get my little yellow pointer. They owe you an apology because they effed up. They pulled cops out of schools. They know we need that. They know we need that. So, it's just this, it's a disconnect from reality. It's a disconnect from seeing you pull cops out, violence increases. Maybe we need to move that back. Maybe we need to move that needle back. And the whole ridiculous, the absolute morons who came up with defund the police, they owe everybody an apology as well. They owe everybody an apology because that whole Black Lives Matter, defund the police, that was so popular there for a split second. And now we've been paying for it. Kids are paying for it with their lives. So leadership, public schools, how's that working out for you? I'm waiting. I'm right here. Let me know. Frisco Independent School District to put retired law enforcement officers on every elementary school campus. So Frisco is the one that, Frisco is the city where the kid murdered somebody with a knife at a track meet because he wasn't on his side of the stadium, wasn't under his, covered canopies. He was somebody else's, and he, they got in an argument. He stabbed another kid, and the kid died in his twin brother's arms. Just horrific stuff, right? Horrific stuff. And now that his family's raised over $600,000 for the kid who did the murdering. Make that make sense. It just doesn't. So Frisco is independent school district will hire retired law enforcement officers, retired. Right? That's all you need is you need a presence to handle business. You don't need an actual police officer. And the big kicker is in Seattle, they're going to have to hire somebody, but you've got so many businesses already hiring private security. You've got so many other agencies demanding services of the police. You don't have enough cops to go around. So if you can do it with the retired law enforcement officers, but how many of them want to, I'll go work at a school. Good Lord. It's an important component of public safety. I think having a cop in a school because so many kids are just bringing guns to school because gangbangers on MTV tell them that it's okay. You know what I mean? And it's probably not MTV. It's TikTok. It's Instagram. All right. This is what I believe in. The move is part of Governor Greg Abbott's directive to improve school safety following the Uvalde school shooting. District already has school resource officers in all of its middle and high schools. All right. Okay. So that's how they're handling it. That's how Republican Texas is handling it. Get somebody up in each one of those schools. All righty. Okay. We're not doing this nonsensical thing where we take school resource officers out because of twisted facts and ideology like defund the police that just didn't make any sense at all at the time. And we've since watched it and we're like, yeah, that didn't go over well. You don't hear anybody talking about defund the police anymore, do you? No, Ben Shapiro called for the pardoning of �𝗓𝗏. And I'm tempted to get behind that. I don't believe that 𝗲𝗓𝗏, I don't think that he should be fully held responsible for what they claim he did based on the facts. Look at the facts. Look at the autopsy reports. Look at what a kangaroo court that was in Minneapolis. What we know, on Monday night, Frisco Independent School District trustees discussed and decided to move forward the school marshal program to increase safety at the elementary schools. I mean, I'm okay with that. That doesn't offend me at all, right? Cops don't offend me. I'm not offended by cops. Do I love the police? Absolutely not. Have I been pulled over and harassed? Yeah, it happens, right? It happens. But if you're not doing anything wrong, most of the time, you're gonna be okay because they're just covering their backside. And after dealing with, low-life citizens day after day after day, continually trying to con police officers, you'd probably respond the same way, especially with the way cops get treated in Seattle. Everybody in Seattle hates cops. They just hate cops. But then, you know what they do? When their car gets broken into, 911, can you come help me? Yeah, we'll be there in 14 hours if we have anybody to show. What's wrong with the police? You know what I mean? It's just this virtue signaling that's gone absolutely sideways, and it ends up with these storylines. Should we bring police officers back into schools? It's mind-blowing. It really is. And yet, like I said earlier, I got podcasts for days, weeks, months. We're working on years of daily podcasting this nonsense. Stuff that shouldn't be happening, but is because of twisted ideology that does not make sense and public policy that is just completely backwards. Let's try this, knowing full well it's going to do something wildly different. But if we just keep trying it, maybe it'll work out. How's that working out for you? Again, podcasts forever. Thanks for being here. That's it for me in this one. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.